Hello everybody, welcome. I've been getting a whole lot of questions about how I clean the silicone off my paintings or how I get the oils out of my coasters in preparation for varnish or resin, and that is what this video is all about. So first thing you want to do is make sure that either your canvas or your tile is prepared for resin or varnish. And the way you prepare for it is you want to protect the back. You want to put some tape along the back just to protect the back of the surface. The reason why is, as you can see, when the resin drips off the sides, it leaves these really hard knots on the end. Now, if I didn't have tape on the back of this, I would have to either heat this up really well, potentially damaging the front, and cut it off, or take an orbital sander and sand each one of these off individually, and that takes a whole bunch of time. So that you can save time on the back end, I would suggest putting tape on your surface just to protect it. So I typically have a 3-stage process, and then I'm going to add one just for you guys, just in case you don't have any of these materials in your house. So the first thing I always do with my acrylic pours or my coasters is baby wipes. So I get the sensitive skin unscented baby wipes, and what you're gonna do is just wipe the surface. Now every time you wipe, you want to make sure you look at the cloth to make sure it's not pulling any color off, because if it's removing color, then your painting is not cured enough to be going through the cleaning process and you risk damaging it. So I see that we're not pulling any color off. I'm basically wiping off the sides, any oils that might have dripped off the sides, making sure I clean that up, and trying to get oil out of this as best as possible. And see, no color, so we're good. So that's the first step that I use. Second step, I take a bowl. I'm using 70% isopropyl alcohol. You can use 91%. I'm gonna do like a 50-50 mix of alcohol to water. And then I'm gonna be using some paper towels to clean off the surface. By using this process, I've found that I always get any residual oils off, and then as a kind of insurance policy on the end, I have a special tip for you at the end of this video. So again, gently wiping across the surface. We don't want to damage the paint. Checking the surface of the cloth to make sure we're not removing any color. So we're being really gentle with this here, because the alcohol has a tendency to break down the paints anyway. So you want to be very careful when you're using rubbing alcohol with your paints. So wiping gently, no color. I'm going to take the dry side just to ensure we're not removing any color. All right. For the final part of my cleaning, I do a very similar thing with Windex and water. A little bit less harsh. I just do a 50-50 mix of Windex to water. With the whole intent behind it, trying to remove any kind of oils from the surface of either my acrylic pour or my tiles for coasters. And the reason you want to be sure that you're getting it all off is if there is any oil left on your pour at all, even from me just touching with my fingers, that leaves oil on the painting. So if there's any residual oil left on the surface, that spot will reject varnish. It will also reject resin. So it's a very unattractive look when it does that. The resin will pull away from the sides and the corners, and it's really hard to fix that. So put the work up front if you use silicone, or even if you don't, because any touching of the tile will put oils from your skin on it. So that is the third part and the final step. Bonus tip for you guys. I know I've had this problem in the past. There's been times where I can't get all the silicone off. And you'll be able to tell if you got it all off if you are using Floetrol and paint, because it dries matte. So you just hold it up to the light. Any wet or shiny surfaces still have oil. One way I've fixed that, because sometimes I just can't get all the oil out, is I got this tip from Olga Sobi on one of her videos. She uses 50% gloss gel to 50% distilled water, and she makes a fluid material out of it. She mixes it up really well, and then in the cup she'll dip her paintbrush in the cup, or you can even pour it out on top and brush it across the surface. All right, getting a good even coverage across either the whole painting or the tile, and you let that dry. And what that does is it's thick enough to where the silicone can't push the gel off of it, so it dries over top of the silicone and it acts as a barrier coat. So that way when you pour your resin or you do your varnish, there's no areas that can reject those substances. The last and final thing, it's no longer part of my cleaning process, is cornstarch or baby powder. What I used to do, sprinkle some of one or the other on the surface. I would use my fingers to kind of push it into any pits in the paint or holes or depressions, and then I would let it sit for maybe 10-15 minutes, and the fine powders in these two start to soak up any oils that are in them. I have stopped using this just because it's very messy. Yes, it works just fine. It works great. But it is very messy, and I can accomplish the same thing with the other 3-stage process that I use. So that's how I clean coasters. If you like this video, like it so that I know that you liked it. And I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and get out there and create your own happiness today.
If you want to watch another video just like this, click the screen right now and I'll see you there.